Hi, Mary Rose. Thank you so much for joining the brag. Super just excited just to get stuck in. All right. So always love to kind of try and have this more like a story. Would love to go back to the early days.
All the time in digital. By the way, I have to say, I am so delighted that you're doing this. I think giving everyone an opportunity to brag in ways that we are kind of culturally not trained to do is just brilliant. So you're a one woman revolution. It's great.
Yay. Finally found something. You know,
Your thing.
yes, when you land on something, you're like, oh yes, passionate about this. Let's make it happen. So feel
That's
very.
kind of what I'm living at the moment, actually. We'll talk about that.
Oh yes, you're gonna have to tell me way more about that because we're blessed then, because not everybody finds that, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, would just love to hear about, what sparked your passion for being an early adopter of the digital technologies. Yeah, going back all the way to the beginning when you would have started.
Wow. Okay, back to the dawn of time. Okay, I'm gonna really age myself now, but so I followed the kind of traditional pathway of went to university, went to Trinity, did the economics and business. I got a milk round job. I was like, I'm so successful. Went over to London. I was working in a merchant bank there, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. It's just, it was like I wasn't in the kind of department that I wanted. I wanted to get on the trading floor and do sales, but they wanted me in corporate finance, which is long hours, long processes, and just wasn't fit for me. So at that time, the world's first internet cafe opened in London. It was called Siberia. And I used to go and hang out there and be like, this is cool. Because I didn't own a computer because
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't a thing. And so anyway, I really, really loved hanging out there and the kind of people I'd meet. So then I had this brilliant idea of I'll just leave my job and go back to Dublin and open an internet cafe. So that was my kind of first early adoption thing. I got a backer. We had a property. Temple Bar was only just beginning to kick at the time. We had a property that was actually above the ice cream shop that's opposite the Temple Bar pub.
No.
With in our space. And my business plan at the time was things like there'll be, internet access, food and drink. And then I had a line item called question mark. Oh, corporate training was in.
Yeah.
And then question mark. And question mark was because I don't know the opportunities the internet will bring, but it's bound to.
Yeah.
My business, my backer, the funder was like, I don't like that line, it has to be quantifiable. And I was like, no, but there will. We're in first. Like we're going to be the first internet cafe. And then another internet cafe opened in Dunleary while we were in planning. And I went back to my backer and I said, no, it'll be fine. There's plenty of room for like more internet cafes. And he was like, I don't know about this. So he backed out. I lost my funding. I had to go back to London with my tail between my legs and look for a job. So that was 1995.
Okay.
And you were probably not even born then, but anyway,
I was.
we were playing with dolls. Um, so yeah, so then I kind of like I kind of developed a career doing marketing for investment management companies, had some very exciting times, went over to Russia at the time when they were just coming out of communism. That was really interesting. And went traveling, got out to Australia, still working as a marketing person for investment. And then the opportunity came my way. I was working on the BNP Paribas rebrand. So I was employed by BNP and they were doing this global, I think it was the biggest rebrand in banking history or something like that. So I was given the task of overseeing the rebrand in our sleepy little office in a region because we weren't in France or Paris, it was just Sydney. So I had all these different things I had to do. And one of the things that I kind of decided needed to be done was that we needed to have a website. So I made friends with somebody in the IT department and I decided what needed to go into this website. And anyway, we got the website up and running. And as soon as the website went live, I pitched myself out to all the recruiters of Sydney. And I was kind of saying, G'day, I'm a marketer but I've just done a website. So I'm a website marketer and it's a thing and you need me. And that's how I began my career in digital marketing.
Wow. I know.
So, yeah.
Crazy to think that they weren't even a thing, right? Back then.
But no, but see, it was back, that was 1999.
Yeah.
And back then, there was still the belief that, build it and they will come. You build a website to be a millionaire overnight. And I knew that was not going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you kind of need a marketer who knows about websites to actually do this. So long before there was any digital marketing courses in college, long before there was pretty much anything, like even UX as a discipline didn't exist.
Yeah.
So me and this other lady, she also was a website marketer, and we were like the in-demand contractors in Sydney at the time. And we used to work on projects together, and literally stuff like, I remember working on one of the banking ones, and they had this big button, and it was like an underline link. And we were talking about, imagine if we made it colorful, like it attracted people's eyes to go onto it. What about green? Green for go? Okay, we'll try that. So we'd do that, and then we'd go off to lunch and wait about 4 weeks for our data to come back, because that's how long it took. And then we get really excited because more people had clicked. And we were like, I kind of call that period of my career, like it was the time of making shit up. Um, and now that's all obviously a discipline, and the playbooks are there, and people go to university and they study digital marketing and so on. I actually I did a UX diploma myself, just to kind of get the qualification for the stuff I already knew. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. That was a couple of years ago. So this state I'm in now of AI training, it just reminds me of those olden days. It's like, we're making stuff up as new features come out. It's like, how can we use this? Oh, what about if we do this? And it's my natural place to be.
You feel like it's a repeat of what it was like back in 1999?
Oh yeah, oh totally. Like it's a repeat in some ways, and like it's same but different.
Yes.
So, everything's new, everything's exciting, the pace of change is so fast. Like, this last week, for example, in the last week in March, on the Monday, Google dropped Gemini 2.5, which is like the best model known to mankind. It outperformed all of the other models by about 18 basis points. It's like, wow. Should have been what we're all talking about, except on Tuesday, DeepSeek came out with another model and made it available for free, open source, best model ever. Wednesday, OpenAI brought out their new image creation tool. So it's like, trying to keep up with all of this and guiding people through, what's relevant, what's not relevant, so on. So that's exciting, and it's the same. But what's different is that when I started out in the web, and then later when I started out in social media, people had a choice. I think we might leave the website thing for a few more years, or people had a choice about. A lot of people used to say, oh, social media is for teenagers. We don't need that in our business, and then they'd come back a year or two later, having changed their mind. You don't really have that option these days. It's literally, it's here, it's flying. It's like, it's the single biggest career mistake you will make if you decide to ignore what's going on in AI.
Big time. I even just had my brother ask me, can I update some invoices for him? He works in labor work. He has his own business. He would have had to come home 9 o'clock at night after working all day because one of his employee was out sick, and do those invoices and take like an hour to do it. I just popped onto Claude, less than 2 minutes. Boom.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Right? So exactly. People can't just leave that to the side.
But you know what I love? Like some of the earliest people who so I started delivering AI courses for marketers as soon as the ChatGPT 3.5 moment happened. So that was like December 2023. What year was it? 24, 23.
Okay, 23.
No, 22.
Yeah,
Sorry.
22. Yeah.
See, in my world, every week is like 6 months.
Yeah.
But the pace of change. But with that, what I loved was, like, I had worked a lot over the years, and especially through COVID, like I was doing a lot of, kind of, mentoring and supporting people who are like trying to, cope with what was going on. And I was And I met all of those business owners who'd be like doing their marketing on a Thursday at 7 o'clock at their own kitchen table,
Yeah.
and they struggle because they always knew they weren't getting everything done. And, there's a great story about a woman called Georgia from Artesa Coffee. Shout out to her. She's in Carrick-on-Shannon. Yay. She took one of the earliest courses and she was just saying like, I can finally get everything done. So she's not only getting everything done, but she's doing a better quality output. And you know yourself, when marketing is done well, it actually brings home business. So she's grown her business. She's reduced that sort of sense of no, that awful nagging doubt that you're not getting everything done. And she's reclaimed her Thursday nights.
I love
So it's a win-win.
that. See, that's
Yeah.
a prime example of where AI is not replacing humans, but enhancing.
Totally. Well, we kind of tend to work with forward-thinking companies that bring us in because they want to do more with same. So it's not about, I wouldn't want to work with companies who are trying to reduce their staff count. It's more about, like, when you think about where full employment in Ireland, it's more about, we want to keep all the people we've invested in and trained in and
It's
hired and help them do their jobs better.
Yeah.
And you know what the big secret is? Like, no matter who I'm working with, whether it's C-suite down to the newest hire, everybody has mundane admin work
Yeah.
in their roles.
So true.
Ev-
Yeah.
And we're removing all that, like taking it all away so that they have more time to do
Love it.
higher value human to human stuff.
Love that. Oh my gosh. That's an amazing insight. We might go a bit off question sometimes, by the way,
Sure.
no matter where the conversation takes us. I think you kind of went through this already. Walk me through becoming a digital marketer trainer and what drew you to teaching and sharing knowledge. Would
Well,
love to. Yeah.
the teaching bit is just because like I moved back from Australia to Ireland in 2001 and I started doing training then on my first course that I used to deliver was called Writing for the Web.
Cool.
Um and really it was stemming from the thing that like I was just so sick of seeing really bad copy on Irish websites at the time. I come from Australia where it was a little bit more sort of copy and succinct.
Yeah.
And then you'd come on to Irish websites and there was like, they literally just, copied and pasted their 10-page PDF and stuck it on. And there was no sort of subheadings or bullets or anything like that. So I ran that course, the writing for the web one. I used to teach in businesses. I used to do PR agents. I used to do actually other marketers. So anyone who needed to write for a living. I do the whole sort of psychology of how you trick people to start at the top and go down to the bottom. So I ran that from about 2001, to about 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I did a master's in cyberpsychology where when that became available, when that was a thing, I was like, oh, I'll do that actually, because that's a lot of the stuff I actually kind of just intuitively had learned. So I did that around the time of the slowdown and the crash. I was like, I have a bit of time on my hands. I just do a master's while having a baby. Not recommended, girls. Don't have a baby and do a master's at the same time.
I know. Oh my gosh. I did that doing a startup and having a baby at the same time. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's a challenge. It is great though being able to work from home though. And
Oh,
I used to love like seeing my child when he'd wake up in the afternoon, I'd like stop what I was doing and
yeah.
go in and have a little play and then just get back to the desk. I had an in-home childminder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Perfect. No, I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's nice for them as well to see, to see mom and she's doing,
Yes.
she's doing stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally like I always say that to anyone I've known over the years, say clients who've gone on maternity leave and then they're kind of coming back. And I always say, don't feel guilty. You are the best role model for your child of a woman going out to work and an independent financial entity.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's really important.
Exactly. So important. And yeah, let's have a look at some AI journey highlights. So you launched your first AI course in 2022, which you had already mentioned, right when generative AI was just completely exploding. Yeah, so what made you brave enough to jump in so early?
Well, I just knew it was going to be a thing. I knew that I am a perfect person. I'm going to brag now, okay?
Good.
I know that I am the perfect person to show people this because I have walked in their shoes. So like I understand their problems and I've gone ahead in that I've embraced it. So I'm very good at kind of bridging that gap between not using it and using it. But really, when I went deep on it myself, I was just like, this is too good to keep to myself. I have to go. So I created a course for other marketers, and it was like, let's be an army and show people how to do this. The very first, I was asked to do a talk at a showcase in the RDS in January 23. And it was before the paid version of ChatGPT had come out. So it was a little bit flaky, it would fall over. And there I was. They asked me to do a talk on time saving tips for marketers. And I was like, I kind of have to do it on ChatGPT. And I was just like, please let all the gods in heaven make this demo work and not have it fall over. And that was my first time of showing people, like, you want to put it into Arabic because you're targeting UAE, it would change the language. Hey, let's make all our social media posts. Let's make it long form. And this is what I get such a joy out of at the moment. Seeing people's jaws drop. And then this is a moment when they start thinking of how they can apply it in their own work. And then they're just like, show me how to do it. So it's a great thing to be doing at the moment.
Love it. And it's a repeat again of what you did back in the 90s when you were
Early days.
yeah, exactly.
So I did it with digital marketing when it came, and then I did it again with social media.
Yeah.
So I'm going in for the trifecta. This is it with AI.
Love it. You're definitely an early adopter, but then I think that's an amazing skill, being able to take something that's perhaps at the early stages and not as understandable to the masses, and then, like you said, bridging that gap. That's
Yeah, well, I think we have to be an opinionated woman helps, okay? Because, there's a lot of hype and, there's a lot of there's a lot of tools that have a lot of PR spend around them, and everybody, all the fanboys and girls are like, oh, this tool is great. And I come along and I look at it and I go, okay, what's my use case? And I try to get it to do what I want it to do. And, if it's crap, like I won't include it. I'll just say that's crap. And that's why I'm not into all this kind of my top 10 tools for blah, blah, because I do a lot of work on working out the tools. And I'm not into that kind of, just buying into the hype. So yeah, so there's a bit of work involved in that. So having an opinion, and like at the moment, my big beef is around the whole thing around agents.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
You probably heard everyone, like HubSpot has agent.ai, and Microsoft claims to have agents available through Copilot. They don't. They have assistants, which are different. You have like Salesforce rebranding as Agent Force, and it's like it's a massive big pissing contest. It kind of reminds me of like early days of social media when Pepsi and Coca-Cola were vying for how many fans they had on Facebook. But this whole thing of what an agent is like an agent is something that can work autonomously to create it, to perform a task where you don't have to be standing over it. And for me, what I see as agents is deep research. Those features that, you can basically brief it to do a task and it'll work autonomously for up to about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's an agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And agents are coming. Next year they reckon that we'll have agents that can work for about 8 hours autonomously.
Okay.
And the year after, 2 to 3 days.
Ooh.
So now is the call to basically become the controller of the agents. Become your own. Like I sort of say to people, you need to kind of think about whatever your role is in an organization, you have to become the CEO of your own role. So literally, you're going to be setting up all the processes, you're going to be checking them and everything, but you're not getting down in the weeds to write the thing or to merge two spreadsheets together and make them work. You have your AI tools to do that for you.
Yeah, I love that. That's an amazing example of being the CEO of your own role and outsourcing all those annoying admin tasks.
Yeah, totally.
It's true about the agents. We've been working on agents now since 2022, I remember we were talking about agents and people were like, don't use that word, that's confusing.
Yeah.
And so we were there as well. We've seen the same thing as you, as all the hype around like, look at these amazing agents, but they're not.
No.
This,
And they have,
you know.
and you have like, Claude computer use, and you've got OpenAI's operator. Like, and yes, they can go and book a restaurant in downtown Silicon Valley if you want it. But like, you do need to have a certain level of programming ability to make them work.
Exactly.
And that's, to me, is still not there.
Yeah.
Like, somebody who I know who's delivered a course for me, she was saying like, I'm a marketer. I was trying to teach myself how to use Python so I could do this stuff. And I said no. So for me, it's like I'm saying no to Python. And, I want to be able to do it intuitively, like vibe coding and so on. And vibe coding isn't there yet for us non-coder marketers.
But it's gonna be already. Like, this is what I was speaking at an International Women's Day event, and only about 30% of people in the audience were using AI. And I was like, but you know that you can use, right? I was like, you can use AI to help you use AI.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. Like, use your Claude, use your ChatGPT, ask the questions. How do I use these various tools?
Yeah.
And that
Screenshot
it,
all the way. Yeah.
exactly. And that's where us non-technical folks, it's going to be more about the creativity, and the application, and what you're doing, right? That knowing, like, being an expert within a certain field and then having that application. But now I'm
And,
having.
and good ideas. It's like this, it's like all you need to be a brilliant success in the future is imagination. And that's why I'm very much looking forward to seeing how our education system is really taught to respond to the AI threat as they see it. I see it as an AI opportunity, so that we can actually go back to teaching kids to retain their imagination whilst being critical thinkers, and then step out into the new world.
Yeah, love that. Love that. That's been.
We're so in agreement together.
Oh, yes. Um, Tell me about your earliest courses. I hear that you've always been a trainer, but what was your first training experience like?
Well, say with the AI courses,
Yeah.
I started out. So I'd always been a trainer, so I always had my, my how to do LinkedIn and understand the algorithm, or how to do a lot of sort of social media courses. So what I did originally was I took my digital marketing social media course, and I went, okay, so here's a really cool prompt you can put in here, and I started inserting kind of prompts and some tools. And then there was a lot of apps, right? So that's how I started. And then as AI took off and ChatGPT 4.0 came along and stuff like that, ChatGPT 4 came along, and you could do so much more. And I was kind of tossing aside all that LinkedIn algorithm. They can work that out themselves. Just ask ChatGPT. Now we're going to focus on, data analysis. So I was throwing aside. So actually, it was really interesting for me to watch that the deck started out as marketing augmented by AI. And by the end of the year, that was my kind of year of MVP. By the end of the year, it was just all AI with a marketing flavor.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then another shout out actually here for Geraldine Penny in Contracting Plus. She cajoled me into doing a course at the end of that first year for non-marketers. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I'd be really scared to do that. She said, no, go on, go on. So we created this, with her prompting me and nudging me, I created this course called AI for non-technical people. And we ran it on Tuesday nights in November. And it was the subtitle, sure, what else would you be doing on a Tuesday night? And that was really scary for me because it wasn't my tribe, you know what I mean? And I was delivering to people who were like project managers, and there was accountants and engineers and lawyers and all sorts of people. And that is really delivering that in November was the thing that made me go, actually, I think there's legs on this thing. And that's when I decided to actually set up a company and bring on more course creators. And that's how the AI Institute was born.
Amazing. Love that. And it's such an important gap. And that's what you're doing, right? You're turning that AI threat into that AI opportunity. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like I love like sort of taking away when you're working with group like so we pivoted. Okay, I think this is just so typical AI. Like um 5.5 months into AI Institute, I decided I had to pivot business completely
Yeah.
because we were going down the kind of we were doing public courses, we still are, like B2C route. And I just realized that, like, what we have is so good and it brings about such a change.
Yeah.
We can't just do this for like one, two, 10. Like, we need to do this for hundreds because the mission is to help everybody get on and nobody be left behind. So I wanted to try and bring it to as many people as possible. So we pivoted to do B2B. Um, and that's where, like if you have people who sign up to do a public course, they're kind of motivated to learn. Like if you come on a course, you'd be like, best girl in the class. But if you're in a team of 15 people in a company and you're told you have to do AI training, you might be a bit kind of arms folded, right? What are you going to teach me? I don't believe in this. And one of my things I love doing about the corporates is that you kind of bring the people along and then you switch the kind of naysayers into being like when I do these personal training sessions, I'm like, how are you finding it? And they're like, I tell my family, I tell my friends, best thing ever. I'm now the go-to person in my home for AI. And it's like, I think we've done something there. So like, yeah, so that's a big brag. It's a brag, but I love it.
Turning them to from naysayers to yaysayers.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah, definitely.
And then can you walk me through the moment that you realized AI was going to be a game changer for business?
Just, I'll tell you when for me was, so I'd used tools like Jarvis, which was the forerunner of Jasper, and I'd used, so mainly kind of copywriting kind of tools. And I could never get my clients to agree to let me use them. They're like, no, we're not using AI. So even though I chose them something brilliant, I'd go back to, producing the copy myself. But then on the 1st of December, like, which was the day after ChatGPT, 3.5 came, I was having the last training session for a group of hoteliers. And we had just done the whole module on TikTok marketing. And I kind of had about 20 minutes at the end. And I said, guys, there's just this thing I want to show you. It just dropped last night. And I just basically kind of did my first demo in what's this share screen, get the buttons to work. And they were literally just jaw dropped. And they were they were just shouting ideas and like, oh, we could do it like this and I could do that. And all the people who hadn't been engaging in the other parts of the course were all turning on their video and coming back in. And that's when I went, okay, this is really going to be something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Not have to explain it. You just have to show it. Like I'm the head of showing around kind of thing. It's not like I'm teaching. I give you some really good ideas of what you can do with it and like customize it to your role. But like it's actually the AI that does all the amazing sizzle.
Totally, but it is like really just to brag for you. But it is but it is so important, right? To like bridge that gap because going back to that event that I was speaking at recently, when I asked people, okay, why are you not using it? They were just like, I don't know how to even get started. There's this fear around the use of technology, right? And just not even knowing, okay, what do I do? How do I get started? What are the use cases? How do I apply this? So like
Yeah.
that's, being in the AI space now myself as well for since 2022. Um, same as you. That's one thing we've seen again and again, is that.
But I would actually put that down to, okay, it's not the fault of the humans. It's the fault of the tech companies. They're not great at communicating. They don't name their products very well. Deep research, hello. And there's so many kind of products coming or features. So like a lot of times when we have people come into our core course, they don't realize that, you can take it down on your phone, take photos of your fridge and ask it, what am I going to cook? And they're like, oh, I can do that. And I'm like, uh-huh. So start using it in your real life. And that's when kind of the dots start joining up.
Yeah.
It's not just a thing to help me write a blog post. It's actually a thing that will aid my life, and, give me support in whatever I'm trying to do. I've become a really good gardener, actually. Um, since this is another brag. I'm a really good gardener. Everyone on my road looks at my garden now and they say she's not killing your flowers. So I would have been quite a pura weeder. I don't really know what the weeds look like. And I go, right, I'm going to clean this up. And I pull everything out. And there'd be all these perennials from last year that would be dead. So now I take photos and I say, is this a plant or a weed? And I saved a lot of plants through my use of GPT.
Save the plants.
Great plan. So doing its bit for the environment, actually, it's not just all killing us with like, carbon use and water.
I know. Oh my God. That's another rabbit hole. Um, um, what's your proudest achievement with AI Institute since establishing it in 23?
Um, there's so many. Like, there's an obvious one, which is we won an award recently. Got the Spider Awards. We won it for best use of AI in marketing, which is kind of great because it's kind of testament to the stuff we're teaching. We do it ourselves, and it works. But I think that's an obvious one. It's more for it's actually it's the actual people that we help that makes me really proud. So when clients enthuse and say things like, our people, they're not only doing tasks that would have taken groups of people several weeks. They're doing them quicker. But as I'm walking around the office and I see people smiling as they're attacking spreadsheets, which they never would before, and they tell me this is on our website. Obviously, it's testimonial, but like that to me is it. It's like we're taking away the mundane. We're allowing people who have ideas to go. Imagine if I did this. So that daily is that's like the crack cocaine of why I get up every morning at 5:45 and come down with a bounce in my step. It is. I know it sounds really naff, but it is actually we're making an impact and a difference. Whereas coming from the world of digital marketing, which I did, um, I used to be kind of like, you'd be reporting to clients on, impressions are really important and reach. And engagement is also a really important thing. Whereas now I'm kind of going, okay, we saved your people this amount of hours. You can see how happy they are. And look, there's a better quality output. So it's actually much more meaningful. It's actual reality being accrued.
Yes, and you're seeing that impact. And like what you mentioned at the beginning, having your passion project, and
Yes.
it's putting all those pieces together.
And and people can have their passion projects, like you can just no hold it back, it's just go with the ideas.
Yeah, yeah, love that. So important as something I've learned over the last number of years that you need to, when you're doing a startup, it's tough. You need to be passionate about it. I always thought that was just a saying, but it's such a reality.
It's your other baby, it's your other child, like,
Totally.
but yeah, mine is kind of growing into kind of toddler status now, so we're hiring. I've got just this week our first full-time employee started. And that's a new job that we invented.
Amazing. That's a huge brag. Wait, did I see that advertised? It was like an AI manager.
AI operations manager.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So I'd grown my previous business always with like the kind of freelancer model.
Yeah.
I like put together teams and we'd work on a project, we'd disband and stuff like that. But with this, it needs our business. Yeah. I'm building it from the inside out using AI, being authentic.
Cool. And have you been bootstrapping?
Yeah.
That's a huge win. Love.
Yeah. That's another thing. You know what? I actually was saying to someone recently, I'd love to do one of those, those programs like in Dog Patch for 12 weeks and you get your pitch right. And I actually haven't got the time because I'm growing the business. We're getting loads of clients. We've been selling internationally from like month 3. So we're just rolling with it and
Love that.
we're going to do a big growth spurt actually in the next couple of months.
Oh my God, that's amazing. But like, to be honest with you, that's been a huge learning of mine recently, which is that the ecosystem is very much tailored towards people that only want to go for investment, funding and fundraising, which is fine if you want to go down that particular road. But it's a huge distraction if you don't. And we're the same as you, we're bootstrapping. And I've actually had to turn off the ecosystem because it's not serving, it's just distracting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And it's like not everyone like well, like I know like so in the AI space, like probably no one will go near me because I'm only doing training. You know what I mean? But like if all those VCs want to throw their money into something that's developing a software that could fail or not, but like we're proving results,
Yes.
we're making money, we're expanding internationally. Like one of my big beefs at the moment is I'm trying to get elevated from being a Leo client to an AI client because I want them to help me open doors in the UK, the UAE, and the rest of Europe. Anyone asking, please help. Anyone listening, please help. So, like the rule is you have to have 10 FTEs, and I'm like going, we're an AI company. We're not going to have 10 FTEs. So, can you change your rules for us, please? And they're like, no, 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 my friend, you have to have 10 FTEs before AI will look at you.
What?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's like, that's not the way of the world, right now. And 10 FTs. So I got one.
Got one
And my gal. I've two.
two, but in like with the use of AI, what are you technically? If you think
Exactly. Well, I would say like I'm about 5.
there you go.
Nick is going to be when I manage well and he gets a seat under the ground, under the table, he'll be probably 4 or 5.
There you go.
Um,
There's your 10x.
we don't need it. But then what I'm saying as well is like kind of what you're saying, yourself on the kind of the bootstrapping. It's like, well, if they don't want to help me, I'm not going to like morph my way into their old way of being. I'm just going for it. I'm just going for it. I know we don't have a huge amount of time. We've got a couple of years to really, really build this thing and fly. So I'm just not letting any government regulation hold me back.
Yeah, dead right. That's a huge brag in itself, I think. Just keep
We
it
should call this episode the brag and the brag and the beef. Or this is my beef.
definitely. But like for a lot of people that can be difficult to keep that focus, right? But at the end of the day, why do we start businesses? It's for the customers. So the fact that you're keeping that, keeping the eye on the ball, keeping that focused is, I think, a huge brag. That's amazing. We're gonna have to continue this conversation again.
Great. I'm actually thinking we'll have a side conversation actually. You tell me all about your thing. We do love my podcast actually, Chatty GPT.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Great. We'll arrange that after.
There you go. Um, so you consistently deliver incredible results for your clients, reporting 20% productivity gains, essentially gaining an extra day per week. How has this transformed the way businesses approach work?
Well, so big brag. On our website, weareAIinstitute.com, I actually say we guarantee 20% productivity change. Guaranteed. Now, as a marketer, I'd never guaranteed anything in my life before because it was subject to the vagaries of algorithms and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so like that's a given. So what was the question again?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It was a long question.
Sorry, I just got taken up with my own brag.
Um, so they're essentially gaining an extra day per week. How has this transformed the way businesses approach work?
Oh, absolutely. So basically, what we do is we show businesses or individuals within teams, um, how not to waste their time on mundane admin stuff. And from very, very C-suite right down, everyone has this. So classic case, I'm just thinking of someone right at the moment where they have to produce some slides for the board report every month. And this little process of going from a software system into the software doesn't give them the exact data that they need in the shape they need. And then they go into Excel and they do a little jazz, and then they bring it into PowerPoint, they do a little jazz and they drop that in. So that takes them 3 to 3.5 hours a month, every month. And it's craft work. But no one else can do it because they can't pass it on to someone else to do because they have to look at the data. So we're actually creating an automation for this. So literally it's like this, connected with this, and they'll just have to approve it. So that's probably going to be 15 minutes. So for a C-suite person to get back 3 hours and 15 minutes every month, what we advocate is that they use that time to manage their team, walk around human to human, maybe go to a networking event and meet humans. Like it's actually about don't, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, don't fill the time with more blah, 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 sitting at your computer just tapping away. It's like mindfully use the time that you save to learn, to do a deeper analysis of something, to bring on a new service type that your team never could possibly have done given its size before, but now you can. So that's I think the core of why. That's why we're here.
Love that. Again, dipping into that human side, creativity, connection. So important. This comes on top of your impressive 80% plus net promoter score, which is huge. For
I to
anyone,
brag on this for a sec.
of course.
We didn't know that I had a call with someone from the Institute of Bankers, and he was kind of querying me on the score. And I was like, oh yeah, like we always got like 80, 85, kind of something like 90, you know. And he was like, that's amazing. And he said, they get 60 and they're really like, that's amazing. And I was like, wow, wow. And he said, the average is 30. I didn't know that. So you see, like it's a brag and it's obviously all over our website. But again, it's like, I don't see that as a measure of us and what we do. It's actually like a little bit of a measure of all those amazing AI tools that they're using because that's what makes them so excited. So it's the sizzle in the middle is the AI.
Yeah, but just to brag for you again, like that experience again, it's just so important, right? Because again, I talked to a technical friend and they've built like a whole team of AI agents for themselves. And I talked to a non-technical friend and they're like, I want to use AI, but I just don't know how. I don't know how to get started.
Tap.
Yeah, it's huge. My husband, co-founder, it comes from customer support background, and myself, and so we use the NPS score, Net Promotion Score, all the time, and it's it's very easy for it to go back down again. So like keeping that is amazing.
Yeah, well, we have like we do also every session we do an anonymous
Yeah.
kind of QR code. How we do and just kind of make sure
Yeah.
see how we're going. And we had one of my trainers was really upset the other week because she had like nines, tens, and sevens, and someone gave her a five. And the sky was falling in, and I was like, but five is actually still really good. Really good. Yeah, and you can't like someone might have been having a bad day, and they just
Mhm.
weren't in the mood for it.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And then so yeah, and then most training companies are getting about 35 to 60. You're outperforming the industry. What's your secret sauce? Especially you're outperforming the I should say the training industry.
Yeah. Well, I would say four things.
Yes.
Okay, so one would be I made a decision really early on to stick with live instructor led.
Okay.
Okay, because the pace of change is just so great. I had created a social media course in 2017, did all the recording, did all that stuff, and I knew as soon as it came out, it was like needed to be updated. So that's one reason. So it's like live instructor led.
Makes sense.
Um, the second reason is that it's completely personalized to our learners. So there's none of this waffle of the history of deep learning. Like your learners don't want to learn that. So we do like a piece on how LLMs work. And then it's like, right, what do you need to do in your job? Let's see how we can help you with that.
Yeah.
And when we're doing the corporate stuff, like we literally go down to every single task in a team and then we create the courses around that. So it's very, very personalized. That's the second one. Third one is that I hire course delivery. I call them course creators, but it's more like performers. So
Yeah.
it's people who are madly passionate about AI and can share it and show it. And I've just got really amazing people. So like say, shout out to Emma Marlowe, who is she's like a marketer of old. Emma. She's a marketer of old, but she ain't old. And she is like I am to kind of SME and marketing. She is to big brand agency marketing. She did the social media for the Ministry of Sound back in the day. Like she's a good experience, but she's just really into it, really into it. Then we have someone like Toby Lincoln, he's a great story. So Toby is a professor of ancient Chinese history in one of the universities in the UK.
2 seconds, we're just
And
freezing there.
felt frustrated at the fact that his university wasn't moving fast enough with AI. So he took voluntary redundancy, quit his job, and he's just going all out on I want to use AI. So he's a brilliant trainer.
Wow.
So he's got the deep academic knowledge. He's a brilliant deliverer, and he's mad about AI. So it's the people and the performance, the kind of tailor made. And then the fourth reason would be we get to bring in the tools and they get to do a lot of the kind of showy opey stuff.
Love that. It's so true though, right? It is changing every single week. That's always something my co-founder says. He's like, yeah, what we were doing 2 weeks ago, that's not relevant anymore.
You ever look at any of your old decks or proposals? It's like, look at that. And it's like, that was November. You know?
Pretty much. Oh, totally. Oh, that's so cool. And like you said earlier as well, it's about the idea and now the application of the idea, because the execution is just on a different level.
And another thing, it's also about knowing when not to include things. So back to this thing about the hype, for example, I did a lot of work trying to work on HeyGen synthetic avatars back in January 2024, and they just couldn't do it right because we've got regional accents, got the Irish. So I'm not going to bother teaching people how to do that because they're not going to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Runway is kind of coming now, but it's still, it's like, sorry, I make that sound. It means it's kind of thicky. It's creaky. It isn't great. It's kind of, it doesn't feel right. Would the people who take our courses use runway generated content in their material? Right now, no, they wouldn't. So therefore, we don't teach it out.
Yeah, makes sense. No, same. I tried to use HeyGen and it was just no.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wanted it to work. I was like, I really wanted to have a digital avatar of myself that I could just plug in and, issue lots of long-winded things on LinkedIn, but wasn't the big.
Love that. Take us behind the scenes. What goes into creating training that consistently delivers such remarkable results? And you've touched off this already with your last question.
Yeah. Well, I guess so I learn a lot. So I get up really early in the morning and usually from about sort of 6, sometimes 6:30 until 7:30. I have this 1 hour every morning where I just go, right, today I want to learn how to do blah, blah, whatever it is. I want to check out this tool or this feature. So that's my uninterrupted learning time. And that's 5 hours a week, which is kind of cool. So then 7:30, I have to do my son's breakfast and lunchbox and stuff. And he often comes in this really plaintive voice going, Mommy, can I have breakfast at 7:40? And I'm like, wait, hang on a minute, get some cereal if I'm doing something really good. So then I also do, so we did then, meetings happen, delivery and stuff like that. But then I also have, Saturday morning time is also for learning. So maybe 2 to 3 hours. And it's usually kind of applying what I've learned that week onto our own stuff or onto client stuff. And then once I test it like that, then I'm like, right, I'm going to bring it into the material. And then I'll consult with the course creators or the delivery people like Toby and Emma and stuff on, okay, this is the thing we're adding and et cetera, et cetera. So it's it's curiosity and practice. And I'm lucky. I'm a good morning person, which is something having a child taught me. I wasn't always a morning person. What about you?
Same. No, I was always a morning person.
How are you?
Yeah, love it as well. I'm like, awake, let's go. My
Yeah, no, I'm not saying this from the, I hate all those like kind of my tech bro, here's my day, get up, get by, do my run. No. I just get up. Like, and I do end, like my day ends at 6.
Yeah.
And, one of the people who I work with, I'm always trying to train him, like, you will not get an answer from me after 6, like goodbye, that's it.
Yeah.
So I do end at 6 and I spend obviously I spend my evenings with my son and the weekends and stuff like that. So, it's really important because I'm a single parent. So I'm the only parenting he's getting. So, yeah.
Okay, you got that. That's amazing. That's a huge brag in itself. My mom.
And he's amazing. My son, he's got purpose and passion.
Love that.
And well, like it's like he is currently um my sister. Okay, this is really funny. My sister is a family therapist in Australia, and she's not the most technical person, right? And she recently took a 9-month sabbatical with her new husband to go traveling because you do. She's 60 and she's amazing. And when she was traveling, her site got hacked and she contacted me and she said, it's a whole advertising Malaysian property. And it was gone anyway. She, you know, crap hosting, no WordPress updates. Yeah, you know. So her whole site was gone. And she was kind of wanting me to help her. And it was just a step too far. I couldn't. And then my son, who's 14, he was like, just do it on one of those AI ones. And I said, yeah, durable.app. And he said, oh, I could do that. So I didn't teach him.
Yeah.
He just knows because he's a Gen Z, you know. He's basically done the site. He went to the Wayback Machine. He said, there's this thing called the Wayback Machine. I was like, oh, I know that. And he basically found all our old content and found the images and then basically went into Midjourney on my account and prompted to get images like the ones. And he just showed it to me yesterday and he was like, what do you think? So he wanted me obviously to do user acceptance testing. And when I was pointing out a few things, he was like, Mammy, stop. I'm just going to blend this over to Auntie Ali now and she's going to love it. So he is amazing. He's
Cool.
self-taught. He will not work in the web. He will not work in digital because he will be a pilot. He's been manifesting pilot since the age of 4.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Oh, what a blessing for him to know that as well. That's what he wants. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a big blessing.
Really big. Hold on, I'm just gonna try and we're a little bit blurry because somebody tried to call me. So it was just interrupting with the Wi-Fi. So I'm just gonna try.
There we are.
Sorry. It's just doing a little reset. Okay, cool. I think we should be good. All right. Where are we next? Go.
Perfect. Great. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Oh, good.
I'm loving the bragging.
Yay. It's good, isn't it? It's nice to have a little reflection because I think we've just forget like how much actually goes into just like
Everything.
Everything, yeah. Work, life. Perfect timing talking about your teenager. As a mother of teenager and a lover of trees and beaches, how do you balance your entrepreneurial drive with personal passions?
Well, I'm a big fan of holidays.
Nice.
And I for anyone American listening, you might actually break out in a cold sweat when you hear this. But like I took 3 weeks of Christmas and I went to South Africa with my son. Because why not? Nobody wants to learn anything from you from, the end of November. So I kind of did a bit of tidy up. We flew on the 16th of December, came back around the 9th of Jan.
Yeah.
Again, nobody wants to do anything the first week in Jan. So I'm always a big fan of that. Like I'm always trying to think of how I can make my life more holiday focused.
Yeah.
So pre-COVID, I used to take my son down to Ericeira in Portugal. And we go for the summer. And I'd work from 8 a.m. till 12. And then I'd work kind of after 8, a few emails. So I was kind of doing the same amount of work, but on the beach and, having a really nice time and drinking wine and eating food. So holidays are really important. Work-life balance is really important. I'm really, really guarded on that. I refuse to do training in the evenings.
Yeah.
Because I have to have a line. Otherwise people will just take advantage. I love walking in forests. I love walking on beaches. I'm not part of the sea swimming tribe because I like my waters to be kind of Caribbean warm, that kind of temp. But yeah, I do take advantage and I always have done of this. Like say, if it's a sunny day and it's July, I'll say to my son, okay, get 2 of your friends. I'm going to take the day off. We're going to drive out to Strand Hill and go surfing. And he loves that. And it's kind of an adventure. And I know in my heart that I work so hard, if I've no meetings that day, I'll do it or I'll come back and maybe get up earlier tomorrow and catch up and basically just make it happen. Because memories is all we have. Memories is all we have at our kids and our time with them is so fleeting.
So short. I mean, if you live to be 100, that's what, 20% of your lifetime.
Wow. Yeah. And that's 100. Wow. Yeah.
And that's 100.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of when I went to South Africa, actually, because my mum passed away last year.
Oh, sorry to hear
And
that.
yeah, but like it was a very well lived long life. And I just had this real sense after she'd gone that what am I waiting for? Like, what am I putting things off for? So I had been to Africa. I traveled around it for 6 months 25 years ago, and I was always threatening to go back. And I wanted to give my son and my love of Africa. So I was like, right, just do it. So, just do it. And it just all comes together.
Yeah.
Um, so with enough time sitting on our couches watching Netflix and during the week, during the winter.
What a waste, right? I used to watch so much more TV. Actually, since becoming an entrepreneur, I watch a way less TV.
Yeah.
Way less.
But I bet you're listening to more podcasts early, are you?
Oh, yeah. That's why I started this one, listening to another podcast.
Yeah. Did you get the idea from someone else doing a brag thing, was it? Or
No, it was actually listening to a podcast on the Diary of a CEO, and they had a guy on there. I can't remember his name right now, but an author, psychologist, and it was just something that he said. He said that usually when a man brags, he's celebrated, but when a woman brags, she's condemned. She's considered, oh, look at that mess, look at that bee, and look at that beach.
yeah.
Uh, and I was like, oh my God, it's so true.
It's so true. Yeah. But even the language used to describe people, somebody described me a very long time ago. And we were in this kind of networking group, BNI or something like that years ago. And he said, "You're very formidable." And I said to him, "Would you ever call a man formidable?"
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he wouldn't. Like, and he, oh well, I would. And I was like, no, you wouldn't.
Mm.
And what is formidable? It's like knowing what you want and not being afraid to go after it, and not suffering fools gladly. And you know, I don't mind being described as those things, but I do mind being described as formidable because it's like this kind of it's like the word spinster. It's like this thing you don't want to be, whereas it's got none of the positive things around it. So I think language, I think you're really switched on to it, but like the nuance of language and how we,
Yes.
even like kind of how we name check,
Mm-hmm.
female, you know, tech superstars,
Yep.
they're kind of lauded, but in a different way to the men.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
it's really annoying.
There's a different standard.
I don't know. The founder of and CEO of Canva. Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
And when my company floats, I'm also going to wear a yellow suit to the launch. Like, she's got the outfits, and they've really adapted to AI. I think I love the way they haven't just sat back fearing it. They've really brought AI in.
Yeah.
I love Canva. What's her name again? Is it Nikki?
I cannot remember. Amazing tool. I've been using it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's one of those tools that's actually enjoyable to use. Melanie, that's it.
Melanie Perkins. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great tool. It's lovely. It's funny. It's like with AI tools, like there's a load of presentation makers, and I love Gamma, which I recommend on a place. And Gamma's great, but it's only great for if you have a lot of text in your slide decks. But I tend to kind of do like a large image bed on the journey and just a word. So I actually still go back to Canva.
Yeah.
For that.
Same. I tried to do some research on various different AI tools to help me make my decks, and it's just, nah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
And do you feel like I feel this almost like kind of, oh my God, if somebody knew I was doing my slide decks in Canva, would that make me less authentic? But it's like, no, it's fine.
Yes.
Okay. I'm using Canva because the other ones aren't delivering what I need them to.
Yeah, and it's pretty, and we're not graphic designers, so it's like you get access to, graphic designer material.
Right.
At a fraction of the cost, right? So that's great. What was I going to ask? Yeah, what's the most unexpected way that AI has changed your own work and life?
I suppose, life-wise, two things. I would say one would be the gardening thing. I don't kill my garden anymore, which I never expect that to happen. Two would be like I love to cook, um, and I love Asian, and my kind of Asian stir fry was always like, do the veg, do the chicken, and throw in a bit of soy sauce. But now I can actually make it taste like proper Vietnamese or
Ooh.
proper Thai because ChatGPT. So I basically take go to the ingredients and go, give me this 15 minutes Asian, and it gives me these sauces with like, sesame, fish oil,
Yeah.
soy, and I'm a much better cook as a result. That's another way. And then the third way I would say is sometimes I have, if I'm chatting to someone and I'm kind of worried about how I might be perceived in real life,
Yeah.
I might screenshot the conversation and say, I'm thinking of saying this, what do you reckon? So it kind of helps with love life.
Love that.
I can't believe I just admitted that.
Hey.
When I say this, does it make me sound like a total crazy person or am I okay? And Claude is particularly good for this because Claude will actually give you an answer. So ChatGPT can be a little bit kind of, yeah, if you no, and no, where Claude will just go, no, don't say that. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
I love Claude.
Me too. I've stopped using ChatGPT. I'm more of a Claude
See,
person.
I fluctuate for everything. I love code, but I'm really, really in total admiration of perplexity.
Yes.
Like,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Perplexity.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
And
research?
the fact that you can use R1 safely and, they've got the deep research. I think they're brilliant. I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Same.
I'm a little bit annoyed with ChatGPT at the moment or with OpenAI because, I know there's competition, but like the way they stole Google's thunder last week, do you have to do that, guys?
I
It's
know.
not very viable,
I know. One of the reasons why I love Claude so much is because they've actually taken steps. Well, I like the fact that they have diversity on the founding team. That's great.
Yes.
Um,
Have you ever listened to their amazing Scottish, what's her name? She's there was a 4-hour Lex Friedman interview with
yeah.
Dario Amodai and then this amazing Scottish woman who's the head of building the personality of Claude. Oh, she's amazing. Let me just find her.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to that. Yeah, because I like that they're putting a big emphasis on ethics as well. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head around their language is great. And I do the same thing with you. If I've ever have a personal run-in with a friend or a family member or something like that,
Mhm.
I use Claude to help me.
To get yourself some help. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out her name. Amanda Askell.
Okay.
She is described as, but she's so much more than this. She's an AI researcher working on Claude's character and personality.
Oh, very
And I will
interesting.
save you a little bit of time. If you don't want to listen to Dario, you can scooch in about 2.5 hours and then you have Amanda covered on. Yeah.
I will definitely be listening to that.
I mean, but even last week, like I love what they're doing in that, this thing they released on Friday, which was like Friday the 31st of March, which was they've basically, like the black box of the AI models, right? So they've developed a thing that they're actually trying to understand how Claude works. So it's like opening Claude's brain and understanding how it puts together answers. And I think that's really interesting because we kind of need to kind of get a grip on how they're doing things.
Yes, I completely agree. Instead of letting it just run away with itself, right? I know we're not at AGI, but it's about taking steps before we get to that point so that we understand what we're actually working with.
Exactly. Can I ask you a question? Actually, this is kind of on my mind. Do you know the way DeepSeek, you know, keeps dropping open source and it's free? I wonder if this is a Chinese way of bringing down capitalism. Discuss.
Ooh, God, I have no idea. Hey, it could be. It could be, or at
Like,
least going against one of
before,
the biggest competitors.
remember before DeepSeek, there was that whole Trumpian early days of presidency moment where they were all standing around and it's like 450 billion and we're going to build this out and all this kind of money, money, money.
Yeah, yeah.
And then or one dropped and it's like suddenly it's like your moats of money are kind of shallow?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big question. I have no idea.
I don't think anyone knows the answer.
No. I like it though. It's good to think about.
Interesting, isn't it?
Very
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, when I look at the face of it, for sure, it's one country that's competing with another country on forever, right? I think there's definitely that element there. And business and government are way more intertwined than anybody realizes. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what a lot of it is where a lot of it is coming from. I mean, now like with the tech bros, it's becoming more evident how much business and government are intertwined. You can no longer hide because the tech bros are very much within the media, within the light, within social media. So now we're really starting to see that happen in the US. We're starting to see it happen in the UK. So I think that's maybe got something to do with it, with your question, and just to
Yeah.
answer your question.
I'm kind of like, I'm asking everyone this and everyone's like, no, I don't know. Like, but seems like a kind of a pretty, if you want to bring down capitalism, that's what I'd be doing, give them all their tools for free. But then people won't use DeepSeek because of we don't recommend people use it if you're a business. It's like, have a play with it on Perplexity, but know that your data is not being, it's not safe.
Yeah. That's
But personally, I don't have a problem if the Chinese government looks up my prompts on how to do a better LinkedIn post, but that's just me.
Nope. Well, that is another can of worms that we could be chatting for like 3 hours about.
My podcast to talk about that. Okay.
That we will be doing. You're an international keynote speaker championing. Oh my God, sometimes language does not come back.
Championing. It's like I can't say anthropomorphizing.
My God, that's a tongue twister. Championing ethical AI. What message are you Yes, bigging up ethical AI. What message are you most passionate about sharing?
Yes. It is the one about, there's so many.
Yeah.
I should have subsets to this answer. I think the most important thing is that we like to work with businesses that want to do more with same.
Yeah.
That's the most important. So it's not about bringing this in so you can lay off your staff.
Yes.
The second thing is that's to the higher management level. Then at the next level to the teams, it's like embrace this and it's going to put you in the top 1% in the world. It's going to give you an edge on every other worker who's not using it. So this is an opportunity not to be missed. And then at the next level down in terms of the course content and so on, everything is we teach, I show how bias appears. Module 1 is always showing them bias, making them aware of that. Data, being really aware of data security, redact. I say that a lot. So it's all about so it's at that level. So it's being an ethical user of the tools. So it's, I suppose, one answer, 3 levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I love it. Such an important topic. Oh my gosh. And again, why it's so important to have diversity within something that's impacting everybody's life. What's the most exciting potential you see for AI that most people are not talking about yet?
Oh, wow. I think I'd bring it back to that agents thing again.
Yeah.
They're talking about it, but they're talking about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I think that I really like the idea that we can all become the kind of CEOs of our own destiny, of our own work. And yeah, I just think the fact that you can do anything, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You just have to ask the right questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think that's really exciting.
it's only what was it my husband said to me? It was only limited by my imagination. I love that.
Love that.
Right?
Yeah. And it's also it's also back to this thing, if it's the age of the generalist, It's like, it used to be like for years I had people going, why aren't you specializing in like only doing SEO or only doing social? Or no, because I wanted to kind of like, I love it all. But now it's like, you don't have to be a specialist. You can be a generalist. It's like, I'm running my business. I'm doing all the different parts to it because I've got all my AI friends to help me. I don't have to just be focused on this one thing, which I think it's empowering
Very
and
empowering.
freeing.
Yeah,
Mm.
completely agree. Now that we're into Q1 in 2025, what's next for the AI Institute?
Well, we are growing the team.
Amazing.
We are about to sign some pretty chunky partnership agreements outside of the EU, which is great. We are continuing to, like, because we have some really good success stories now, we're kind of getting a name within certain industries,
Yeah.
and we're kind of going around there. And then at the same time, we're kind of bringing on new modules as we're rolling out, and we're kind of coming across people who are really smart and they really get the AI thing. So now we're actually training out in automation. So we now kind of train them out in either Power Automate or Make.com, depending on what house they are. So our whole thing is that it's like, instead of throwing a whole load of money in an AI project, C-suite, we need AI, IT, deliver, right? Instead of that, we're about train all your people and get them all humming and start benefiting. Then some of the smart ones are going to automatically move on to automation.
Yep.
And when they're kind of exhausted at we can't automate anymore within our skill set, that's when you have the ideas from your own team as to where should we put the investment on our big AI project.
Yeah,
So it's
okay. Love that.
that's kind of what we're helping to deliver.
So
Now, I need a name for that model.
I love that though. Because I remember one of my employers, Collins McNicholas, actually, I'm just going to shout out because they were just.
So they've been on some of our courses, actually. They're brilliant.
But there you go. They are fantastic. One of the things that they used to do was they would get everybody to send their ideas. I think like once a month or something directly to the directors. Of course, mine would always be like 30 ideas last month. And but I just thought it was such a fantastic initiative because when you've got people that are all the different levels, they really see.
And know the business. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, that's speaking to that. It is that. It's like about, don't tell people this is our big AI initiative.
Yeah.
It's actually more about let people go, God, if only we had this thing that did that, and then build that. But in the meantime, you need to get all those people trained on the AI and the automation, and that's where the AI Institute comes in.
Love that.
We are AIinstitute.com.
Just shout that out there. You said not one to brag, said no one ever. In one of
Bragging my way onto this.
Oh yeah. Let's turn that up. What's the absolute best part about being Maryrose Lyons right now?
The best part about being, I'm really grateful for my energy.
Yay.
As a startup, you kind of need a lot of energy, and I'm really grateful that I have it in abundance. And I'm really grateful that I bounce out of bed in the morning and I'm like, bing, 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 and I've got all these things I want to learn. So that's the best part about being me. I'm really grateful for the people who are around me working with me. But I don't know if they're as grateful for me and my ideas. Because I always tell people who are coming to work with me, like, it's a very fast pace.
Yeah.
Someone was saying to me, we actually had the amazing Chris. Here's another brag. We had Chris Penn on the podcast last week.
Oh, that's incredible.
Hasn't been released yet. It's going out on the weekend of the 4th of April. He's amazing. And one of the guys, Luke, shout out to Luke, who was having listened to it, because you see, basically what was happening was, I don't know if you find this, when I'm editing and listening to myself on the podcast, like, I'm just like, oh my God, you sound so shit. And I delete huge swathes of myself talking, or me, the way you kind of chat back, and I'm like, oh, mute myself. And someone said to me there before Christmas that there was a lot of just the guests. You need a chat. And I was like, I can't do this. So Luke stepped in and he's been doing it. So
Oh,
he's not as critical, which is of me,
yeah.
which is great. But he listened to the one of me and Chris and he went, whoa, two very caffeinated people. And I was like, yeah. So, but that was a big brag actually, because Chris Penn, I saw him at Social Media Marketing World in 2017. He was speaking about AI.
Wow.
And he had a tiny little room and there weren't a lot of people in it. And not that he wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't as sexy as like Facebook Live or whatever at the time. And yeah, so I have been following him religiously since then. I think he's amazing, brilliant thinker,
Okay.
like massive keynote speaker. Like he keynotes at like all the big HubSpot, all the big Inbound, all those conferences. And I reached out to him and I asked him if he'd be on the podcast. And he said yes.
Oh, that's incredible, brag.
So if you don't ask, you don't get, as my mother used to say.
Yes.
Mm.
Like,
And we also had Mark Schaefer on about 3 episodes ago. He was a long time hero of mine. Mark Schaefer is like a big thinker in the world of social media. So he had brought a book out on AI.
yeah.
You should read it. It's a good book actually. How to stay relevant in an AI marketing world.
Oh,
Yeah, and he came on as well and talked about his book.
cool. Well, I'm going to be listening to your podcast.
Great. Gav, we've had some really good people on actually. So the whole vibe of that is I'm talking to people who are the humans who are implementing AI.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something with it, come and talk about it and
Would love that.
they tell brilliant stories. Yeah.
Love that. Oh my God, we're coming to the end. Anything else you want to brag about? Any more brags to get in there?
No, I think I'm bragged out actually. Thank you for this opportunity. I think I'll be very humble for about the next 48 hours and then I'll bring my braggingness back, which it lives in me naturally.
Good. Just to do, I always like to end it with a bit of bragging, bit of bragging recap. Incredible journey. Just, from the beginning, I just love the way that, you're one of these people that you're an early adopter. You see the opportunity where people see confusion, and then you're bridging those gaps between, complexity of new technologies and actually using it. So I think it's something that's so important, so needed. So just to do that big brag for you, you're a bootstrapped company. Last time I heard, I think it's about 30% of companies in Ireland manage to strap. Don't hold me to that. That was just a conversation in a WhatsApp group, so not totally sure. But I think it's just amazing. It's incredible. And you're keeping it focused on the customer, which is just the most important thing. And so many people lose that. So I think that's a huge, huge brag. And yeah,
My wing woman, can I, when you and I go to events and you can introduce me like that, and I'll do the same for you.
totally. Let's do it. And you're a mom, you're a single mom, which is just incredible. So yeah, I could just keep going on and on and on. I think that was
You stop it there now.
such a great.
My Irishness is kicking.
Yeah.
Stop. One.
You're like, enough bragging now. Bob, but thank you so much, Maryrose. I just really, really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your incredible learnings, which I'm sure will bring a huge value to the folks listening. So yeah.
Can I just say, anyone listening, if you're thinking of doing this, do it. I feel absolutely brilliant. I feel great now. This is like such a feel good thing. So definitely queue up and get onto this podcast. It's well worth it.